For 2.5 million years, the Earth's climate has fluctuated, cycling from ice ages to warmer periods. But in the last century, the planet's temperature has risen unusually fast, about 1.2 to 1.4 degrees Fahrenheit. Scientists believe it's human activity that's driving the temperatures up, a process known as global warming. Ever since the Industrial Revolution began, factories, power plants, and eventually cars have burned fossil fuels such as oil and coal, releasing huge amounts of carbon dioxide and other gases into the atmosphere. These greenhouse gases trap heat near the Earth through a naturally occurring process called the greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect begins with the sun and the energy it radiates to the Earth. The Earth and the atmosphere absorb some of this energy, while the rest is radiated back into space. Naturally occurring gases in the atmosphere trap some of this energy and reflect it back, warming the Earth. Scientists now believe that the greenhouse effect is being intensified by the extra greenhouse gases that humans have released. Evidence for global warming includes a recent string of very warm years. Scientists report that 1998 was the warmest year in measured history, with 2005 coming in second. Meanwhile, readings taken from ice cores show that the greenhouse gases carbon dioxide and methane have hit their highest levels in the past 420,000 years. Arctic sea ice is also shrinking. According to NASA studies, the extent of Arctic sea ice has declined about 10% in the last 30 years. As long as industrialized nations consume energy and developing countries increase their fossil fuel consumption, the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere will continue to rise. Researchers predict that temperatures will increase about 2 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit by the end of the century. What's less certain is what rising temperatures mean for the planet. Some climate models predict subtle changes. Others forecast rising sea levels which could flood coastal areas around the world. Weather patterns could change, making hurricanes more frequent. Severe droughts could become more common in warm areas, and species unable to adapt to the changing conditions would face extinction. Although much remains to be learned about global warming, many organizations advocate cutting greenhouse gas emissions to reduce the impact of global warming. Consumers can help by saving energy around the house, switching to compact fluorescent light bulbs, and driving fewer miles in the car each week. These simple changes may help keep the Earth cooler in the future.
We're living in a community that already has a lot of health issues, including HIV, heart disease, diabetes, and obesity. In fact, the diseases is higher in the Caribbean. Meeting these needs is a tall order for the healthcare system. Dr. Gloria Callwood is an expert in the field and tells us why.
Dr. Gloria Callwood, Director of the Caribbean Exploratory Research Center, talks about the territory's healthcare shortfalls and why climate change and health disparities could make it worse.
Health disparities are the differences in health outcomes between minority persons and whites in the United States. Health disparities in the Virgin Islands are those of heart disease, hypertension, to HIV/AIDS, obesity, cancer. All of these chronic conditions compromise the person's system. When we think about climate change and the impact of rising temperatures in the air and rising temperatures in the sea, more rain, we can understand how fish poisoning and dengue fever from mosquito bites, then we can understand how those persons whose physical conditions are already compromised will be further at risk. And so the climate change can have a major negative impact on persons who are suffering from health disparities in the Virgin Islands.
It has long been known that mosquitoes are the carriers of the dengue virus. With climate change, they're expected to grow faster and bite more because of the increased temperatures. Let's take a look at this clip.
First comes the rain, then the heat. Add enough breeding grounds, and you have lots of mosquitoes. If one of these mosquitoes has the dengue virus or bites someone with dengue and then bites you, a few days later you start to feel bad. Symptoms like fever, rashes, abdominal pain, and if you're already chronically ill, it might get worse.